Today we're going to talk about one of our favorite bars for decrepit old guys, the safety squat bar. So I'm here with Pat today. Pat, in fact, is not a decrepit old guy. He's actually probably closer to a professional athlete. He's a starting strength coach and coach at BLOC, and he's going to be our model today because I don't have any old guys that can't get their shoulders to work except for me, and it wouldn't work very well if I was both the narrator and the model. So you have to model this thing. Now, why do we use a safety squat bar? First off, there are several great ones out there. I've got the Rogue, I like it just fine. Titan makes a good one, Elite FTS makes a good one. There are several really nice ones out there. The nice thing about a safety squat bar is for people who have rotator cuff problems and can't get in a proper position with the bar on their back, the safety squat bar provides them an opportunity to do that where they don't have to get their hands back behind their head and back on their shoulders. And so we can use this as a replacement for a regular squat for someone who can't get into position in the upper body for a normal low bar back squat. All safety squat bars are gonna have a little bit of a camber here, somewhere between like 4 and 6 inches. And that camber angle on the bar is gonna be different than the angle of the handles. You'll notice as the handles go forward, the camber goes forward quite a bit. We generally want to hold the bar in a position where the camber is straight down, so it keeps the weight directly over the middle of the foot and not too far forward and certainly not too far backwards either. Patrick, you're going to get up underneath the yoke here, and rather than put the bar on your neck, you're still going to try to carry the bar in sort of a low bar position just below the traps. As much of the surface of the pads are across the back and shoulders and traps as possible, as opposed to sitting right on top the neck here. He's gonna hold his hands firm and try to maintain the same angle of the yoke on the safety squat bar throughout the entire lift. Now here's the thing about the safety squat bar. Even though it has this camber, because the bar sits up higher on the back, it artificially lengthens the torso, which means that the back is gonna be more vertical on a squat with a safety squat bar than it would be with a regular bar. However, because the bar sits up so high on the back, Pat is gonna have to fight maintaining thoracic extension in the upper back and not allowing himself to round. What would it look like if your thoracic back, so that's a rounded thoracic, and instead he's gotta keep his chest up and a nice tight thoracic, and one of the things he can do to maintain that is just to hold his arms in the same position throughout. Chest is up, and that forearm angle will stay the same throughout the whole movement. Try to reach back with your butt, knees out, and fire up. Good, and you can see his torso is fairly vertical on these. Very good. Again, reach back with your butt. Good. Try to bend over just a tiny bit more, but hold your fist hard against the bar. Yeah, like that. Good. Walk it in, touch the uprights. Good job. All right, so there's 2 primary times that we're gonna use this bar. Again, as I said, for people who can't get their hands back in position on a normal squat. As a matter of fact, I had a guy not long ago who was a client who had polio as a kid, had no use of one of his arms. And so he used this bar as his primary squat mover because he could set that and hold it with his one good arm. It worked perfectly fine. So if you're somebody who has rotator cuff problems, you're coming back from an upper body surgery, a rotator cuff surgery, if you've got bad elbow tendonitis or some sort of upper body tendonitis, this bar will take all that pressure off the upper body and allow you to still get your squats in. When you use this bar, because your torso will be more vertical, there's gonna be a little bit less work on the posterior chain, and some of that's gonna get shifted more to the anterior or front side of the body. That's one of the trade-offs. So the question is, would we use this for somebody who isn't an old guy or somebody who has upper body problems? And the answer is yes. It's a perfectly acceptable supplemental squat, much like we use the box squat or the tempo squat or the pin squat or any variation thereof. A safety squat bar can be a perfect example of a supplemental squat that you could put in on a 4-day split after the main deadlift movement. It would work just fine. And for this, we would tend to do it with the same sort of set and rep scheme as we would for a normal squat because the time under tension is about the same. So 3 sets of 5, 5 sets of 3, somewhere in that general ballpark we'll use, and we can keep working up there. And we could also combine this bar with those other movements. So we could do a tempo safety squat bar squat, we could do a pin safety squat bar squat, we could do a box safety squat bar squat. All of those would be perfectly acceptable supplemental movements for the safety squat bar. We like it because it's versatile, it allows people to get a bar on their back who couldn't otherwise do so, and so one of the reasons we love the safety squat bar. For more supplemental squat lifts click the playlist right up there.